Hi,
Hello.
how are you today?
Okay. Very
Good.
good. And you?
Real question. No complaints.
Hola.
Hola.
Uh, nice day today.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
considering how bad it was on Thursday.
Yeah.
What a difference.
Yeah. Well, I went to see Saul,
Yeah, yeah.
and the funeral was on Thursday afternoon. It was
And the rain. What did he say?
it was they couldn't fill up the graves.
Terrible.
It was muddy. You put the
Terrible.
shovel in, and it gets the soil getting stuck. Uh, Gerard's son was there,
Oh
and
yeah.
he tried also, and he says, you know what? Let's try and cover the coffin and go because it's impossible.
It was so hard.
And no, but it was also dangerous. People were coming too near the thing. They could have.
Oh, fallen in. Yeah. God. I know sometimes in the winter when the ground is so hard, it's also a problem. They can't
I went to a
machine it.
funeral in Cleveland in the winter. It was
Oh my
terrible.
God. Yeah, yeah,
It was
exactly.
snowing, and the earth was like rocks.
Rocks, yeah. Ay, ay, ay. She was older than him? Was she an older
No,
sister?
no, a couple of years younger.
Oh,
I asked him. I said, I have I haven't seen your sister in 45 years,
yeah,
probably more.
that's right. Yeah.
And
That's them just that's all he has is a sister, no other siblings.
hmm,
That's his only sibling is his
I think
sister.
so.
That's
I
it.
think,
Yeah.
but she had something, but she had to be in the hospital last year. And from then on, coming out of CSI,
Yeah.
you could tell, he says, a quick decline. And then she fell, and I don't know
Oh.
what she broke. When that happened,
Yeah, that's it.
so she was sent to
Like a rehab or
a
something.
rehab, and she couldn't even walk anymore.
Oh.
She couldn't stand. And
Yes,
then,
somebody once said if you want to get sick, go to the hospital.
yeah,
They'll make you sick. I know in England, when I used to go to London for business, it was always a headline in the paper. Dozens catch MRSA infection in hospital because the hospitals they weren't clean. People were going there like for a tonsillectomy and then up with a whole body infection. And they couldn't kill the bacteria. They died of the infection. It was resistant to antibiotics. So people said, "Don't go to the hospital."
yeah.
Crazy, crazy.
But I don't know the hospitals in London. We lived in Wakefield. The hospital was pretty
Yeah,
decent.
these were like the poor hospitals with the immigrants and
Yeah.
yeah, they come in, they have all these
But
diseases.
things have changed. I talk like if I was yesterday. I
Yeah.
left England in '76.
It's 50 years ago.
It's almost 50 years. Yeah.
The queen was young.
Yeah, she was in her 40s.
Yeah. She's younger than us by far.
Well, no, she was older.
Yeah, I liked her. I thought she was good. She didn't butt in. That's what I liked. She was a royal, she was
Yeah.
a figurehead. She was good. He was an idiot, the husband.
Well,
Yeah, he had nothing to do all day.
but he came from royal family also.
Also, that's true. Yeah, I think he was more royal than her. He had from both sides.
Yeah, the mother was
She
Greek,
became a nun or something.
Greek. She was Greek.
Greek, yeah. I was reading in the paper the other day, there's a king in Africa, in Swaziland. He's an absolute king. He has millions of followers. Whatever he says it's crazy. He's a billionaire and he's a real king. I can't believe they still have such a thing today. Whatever he says goes.
Well, it used to be the same thing with Idi Amin. And
Exactly,
he was,
yeah.
And he was not a king.
He was not a king. He was crazy. Yeah. Who's here? Oh, hello.
Hi, we're on Nun Tes Omid Beis,
Mhm.
59. Rav Yidam Rav, Adam Arishon lo hutzir lo basar lachila. Adam Arishon was not allowed to eat meat. Ichsiv lachem yelachla. The Eric Yesef lachem yelachla. That means the grasses. V'locho chayasarts. V'lo chayasarts lachem. But human being was not supposed to eat animals. Ucheshabo b'nei Noach, eat your lamb. After Noach was saved from the flood, the Bnei Noach were permitted. Shenamar ki yerek esav nosati lachem eskol. I've given you everything to eat like the grasses. Yachol lo yeh ever menachai noig, but maybe they even would have been permitted to eat ever menachai. Talmud lomer ach basar benafsho damo lo sochelu. Meat with its blood you can't eat. Yachol af l'shrotzim. Perhaps you would be prohibited to eat ever menachai from shrotzim. Talmud lomer ach is a miut. To tell you that you could eat ever menachai from shrotzim. My Talmud, where is the source for that? Amar Avuna Damo. When it says you can't eat Ever Menachai, that's a Behem Menachaya, where Misha Dama Cholok Mipsaro. Blood is one thing and flesh is another thing. Yotzu Shrotzim She'ein Damam Cholok Mipsar. But a sheretz, its dam is not different than its flesh, and therefore there is no Aveira of Ever Menachai. Meisvei. It says, Uridu bidgas hayam, uva'ofa shamayim, uva'chol chayas hasadeh, harometz salaretz. Now, my lav lachila. This was given before the Bnei Noach. This seems to imply that they were permitted to do whatever they wanted with animals, including eat them. The Gemara says, lo limlacha. There was no permission to eat them. It meant they could be beasts of burden. Frank the Gemara, v'dogim b'nei malacha ninu. Can fish work? We know that you're not allowed to have two different species of animals in the same yoke. But what if you have a goat and a fish called the shibuta fish? Are you over the din of kloim? Well, based on that, it seems like fish can do work. Toshma of Shamayim. So we see that fish can do work. In Kidruchava. Okay. Toshma of Shamayim. My lav lachila. So that means they were allowed to eat birds before Bnei Noach. Lo lamloch. The birds also were being used for. We're on Nun Tes Omid Beis, maybe a third the way down, third from the bottom. Can birds work in? That if you thresh wheat with geese and chickens, according to Rabbi Yehuda, because it says lo sachsom shor b'disho, you're not allowed to muzzle an ox when he threshes. So there was a shaila, what if you used geese or chickens? Did the same Isser apply? Well, from that discussion at least, we see that you can get work out of birds. So Toshma. It says, V'chol chayaro mesas ala aretz, uridu, that hahu lasui nachashu da'asa. It doesn't come to allow you to eat them. Because to include the snake, that initially you could have worked with them. Rav Shimon Nasser Omer, Chevel al shemesh gadol she'aveh min ha'olam, Chaval al shemesh gadol she'aveh min ha'olam, that woe that there was a creature that could have helped human beings, but doesn't exist, was the Nachash. Shamalin and Skal Nachash. If the Nachash wasn't cursed so that his legs were removed and he has to go on his belly. Every Nachash would have, every Jew would have two Nachashim to be his servants. Echad Mishgar Litzaf, Vechad Mishgar, he would send one as a shaliach to the north, one as a south, Lavilos Sant to bring jewelry for Vanim Tovas Margolios. They would put like a rope under its tail. It would also, you could dig dirt for your houses. It means a nachash also could work. That's what it meant to redo. But there's no raya that they could eat. They could eat them. Meisvei. Adam Arishan Meisvei Gan Eden. Adam Arishan was living in Gan Eden. Means there's a kasha on what we said that Adam Arishan was not allowed to eat meat. Here the story is that in Gan Eden, the Malach Hasheres were grilling meat, mesanin ol yain, and straining wine. Hitzis po nachash v'rabech vodo. The Nachash saw what was going on. V'niskanav became jealous. And that's why he was mesis Adam Arishan to sin. You see Adam Arishan was eating meat. And for the Gemara Hasan Babasra Yerbin Hashemayim, just like man in the desert was bread that came from Shemayim, here there was meat that came from Shemayim. So it was derech neis, it wasn't from Baal. For the Gemara Meika Basra Yerbin Hashemayim, can meat come from Shemayim? In. Kiyad Rav Shimon ben Chalaf, David Ka'azul Ba'orcha, Rav Shimon was traveling, Pagabanach Arivisadavu Kanami Lape. He made up with lions that wanted to eat him. Amar Hakfirim Shoragim Literel. The lions are hungry. So Nechisu Le Tarti Atma, that as a nace, 2 pieces of meat came from Shamayim, 2 thighs of a behema, Chad Achlu of a Chad Shavkua. So one of the thighs was eaten by the lions, and one he sort of saved it. Ais of Asalam Midrash came to the yeshiva, Boya like Dover Tame Huzeh or Dover Tor. He showed them the meat. Is it Tame or Tor? On Rulo, it's Tor. And Dover Tame, you're in a Shamayim. Something from Shamayim is going to be Tor. Boy Rav Zem Ravavo. Yordalo Demus Chamor Mao. What if it looked like a donkey? And a donkey is a treif animal. Would it not be kosher? So Yared Nala, he said, you're like a stupid bird. Ein davar tov yer Shemayim. Who cares what it is? If it came from Shemayim, it's going to be Torah. Reb Shimon and Rav Akishu. They know were commanded not to do witchcraft. My time, Reb Shimon. Receive. Now we're on Samech Amud Aleph 60. Mario, what are you gonna do? We're gonna just
No, we go on. We're going.
60. Don't keep a witch alive. Uksiv, right next to it says kol shochevim beimamos yumas. Kol sheyeshno bichlal kol shochev goyim ben Noach have a prohibition against bestiality. Whoever's in that category, yeshno bichlal mechashefalo sechayeh. It's going to be the same category that they're not allowed to do witchcraft. Eliezer and Rafal Kloim. Ben Noach are prohibited to, we said, to graft trees. These are dinim I gave you before. Don't make interspecies animals. And sadcholosis are kilai. Ma behemtecha barba. By behemtecha, it's through grafting. Av sadcha barko. Now, but because Harold was asking me last week, you're allowed to put two different seeds. So you have certain fruits that are grown from different seeds. And then you create a new fruit, but not grafting. Then we learn the avera of making two different animal species exists both in Eretz Yisrael and in Chutz La'aretz. So the same thing with grafting. Maybe Chukim Shechachad Lakvar refers to all the mitzvahs that were given to the Bnei Noach. No. Hasam Ushmartem is Chukosai, the Hashta. Hacha is Chukosai Tishmaru, Chukim to Mikar Tishmaru. Means the Chukim that I gave you before, but not the other ones are just for the Jews. Amri Rashua ben Korcha, Amr Ravacha bar Yaakov, Eina Chayvat Shivar Shem ben Arba Oisiyos. When you curse using the name of Hashem, it's Yud Ke Vav Ke. Or we'll see Aleph Daled Nun Yud. The name of Hashem, that's the 4 letters. Lafuke ben Shtei Oisiyos Telo. Like Aleph Lamed is also the name of Hashem. That you don't get Misa. Pshita says Yake Yosi is Yositnan, which Yosi is a 4-letter word. So Bada said no, it just gave. It could have been a name of any length. No, it's Dafka 4 letters. Because there's a shame of Hashem of 42 letters. So Ravacha says from here we learn that the 4-letter name is also the shame of Hashem. Pshita Yaki Yosias Yositnan. It says very clearly. Maybe you're only chayiv misa if you use the 42-letter name. It just gave us an example of the name. That it's dafka the 4-letter name. Then we said Nigmar Adin. We said that they would all stand when the aide says what he heard. How do we know this? We learned this in Shoiftim. One of the Shoiftim, Ehud ben Geira, Ehud ba Elav, to the Eglon Melech Moab. V'hu yashav ba'aliyas ha'mikra asher lo levado. Vayomer Ehud dvar lokim li elecha. That Ehud told Eglon, I'm going to tell you something from Hashem. Vayokom alakisi, and Eglon Melech Moab stood up. V'lo dvarim kal v'chor. Ma Eglon Melech Moab shu nachri v'lo yoda. Eglon was a goy, didn't know the Shem HaMeforsh. Elo bikinui, he only knew the 4-letter Omad. He stood up, Yisrael, who hears the Shem HaMeforsh, Alachos Kama V'Kama, that you have to stand. Then, when the aide repeated what he had heard about the curse, and the Dayanim heard, Koirin, they would tear Kriya. Minolan, Dichsiv. Another something that we learned in Melachim Beis Perik Yud Ches, by Chizkiah Melech, by Vol Yokim ben Chilkiyahu, V'Shevna Soifer, V'Yoch ben Asaf, Amazkel Chizkiyahu, Kruei Begodim. Remember, Rav Shaka had cursed Hashem, so they all tore Kriya. V'Yagidulos Divrei Rav Shaka. Also something we just learned a few weeks ago. And the Kriya lo ma'achkin, you couldn't sew back up the Kriya. Minolan, Amravavo, Asya Kriya, Ksivacha Kruya Begodim. The people around Chizkiah Malach had torn Kriya. Uksiv Hasam Velisha Roev Humitzak Avi Rechav Yisrael for Russia. When Eliyahu Navi went up in a chariot of fire, Elisha said, Avi Rechav Yisrael for Russia. V'lo ra'o, or Elisha never saw his Rebbe again. Vaychazek bivgadav vaykrem l'shtayim krayim. He tore his garments to 2. Now, Mimashra Shenema vaykrem l'shtayim, he says he tore into 2. Any odesh shein krayim. I know that it was torn. Matam alama krayim. Malame shein krayim lo'olam. They have to remain torn. You can't sew them up. Torah. Echad hashomeh, if you hear directly. Ve'echad shomeh mipi shomeh, if you hear it indirectly from somebody who heard, chayiv likro. But the ha'edim and chayavim likro. The edim don't have to tear. Shekvar karu b'shar sheshamu. When the edim heard the original guy curse, they had to tear kriya then. So let's say they tore Kriya then. He's hearing, they're hearing it again. Lo that it's not a good havamid. So when they told him over to Chizkiyahu Melech, what Rav Shaka said, he tore his b'gadim. Hamelech Chizkiyahu kar, v'heim lo karu. They didn't have to tear because they tore already. Amar Rav Shmuel. Hashomea askar mipi anochri. If you hear the name of Hashem being cursed by a goy, ain't a chayav likro. You don't have to tear kriya. I've been talking about Rav Shaka, but what about Rav Shaka? They tore kriya. Yisrael Mumaraya, he was a Jew who had converted to the other religion. And therefore, he's a Jew. He's not a Christian. He's not a Mumar. I mean, he's not another religion. He's not a Nachri. You only tear kriya for the Shem Am Yuchad, the 42-letter name, Bilvad Lafuke Kinui Delo, which seems to imply that on the Yud Ke Vav Ke or the Kinui Adoshem, you don't. But this is the pligid Rav Chia Betervayu. Shom Rav Chia Shomeya Askar Bisman Hazeh Eno Chayv Likro. Number one, if you hear Bisman Hazeh, which is without the Shem of Meforash, you don't tear kriya. Shimato Omer Ken Yismal Kol Begodim Kroim. People hear curses all the time. Their clothing would be full of tears. Now, Miman, who are they hearing this from? Ilemim Yisrael Mivkiri Kulai. Are Jews going around cursing Hashem? No. Elabshita Benochri Goyim curse. V'i b'Shem Yuchad. If it's the 42-letter special Shem Mufarish Migmiri, do the Goyim even know that? They don't know that. Elalav the Kinui. They curse with the name Yud Ke Vav Ke or Adoshem Shmamina Bisman Hazehu Delo. That Bisman Hazeh there's no kriya Hamiikar, but initially there was kriya. So according to Rav Chia, you tear for the name of Hashem through cursing from a goy, and also with a kinui Shmamina. Halacha is if you hear Aleph Dalet Nun Yud or Yud Ke Vav Ke, then you chayv skil. Okay, Asheni Omer Afani Kamo. So the first witness gave testimony exactly what he heard. The second witness doesn't have to go through the exact what he heard. He just says, "I heard the same thing," because we want to minimize the cursing of Hashem. Hasheni Omer Afani Kamo. Omresh Lakish Mami no Afani Kamo. Kasha b'dim emanavs b'dim nefashos. We're learning in a big halacha here that when it comes to capital crimes or even money crimes, if the second aid, whenever they testify, just says, "Yeah, I heard exactly the same thing," that's enough. It's only malahud of the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan made a special minat Torah by just saying Afani Kamo is enough. The Chacham said, no, it's not enough. We want to hear it from both Eidim. But here, by cursing Hashem, the Rabbanan leave it in the status of the Doraisa, where he can say Afani Kamo. Because if you're going to say that aid is possible, what? Are you going to say because we can't have him testify because we don't want to hear Hashem's name cursed, we're going to kill this guy? Must be that it's not possible. The Eidus is okay if he says Afani Kamo. And then Rabbi Kiva said Ashlishi Yom Afani Kamo, stomach Rabbi Kiva to make it Shlosh Lishnaim. He says every time you have 3, it's the same like 2. Mishnah. Samech Chomed Beis. However, Avodah Zarah. How do you get skila for worshiping Avodah Zarah? Echad ha'oived, ve'echad ha'mezabeach, so if you shecht a korban to an Avodah Zarah, ve'echad ha'mekater, you burn incense, ve'echad ha'menasech, you pour wine, ve'echad ha'mishtachaveh, or you bow, ve'echad mekabel alav le'eloha, he's mekabel the Avodah Zarah as his God, ve'omer lo eliata, And he says to him, "You are my God." Avala megafef, if you kiss it, v'menashek, hug it, v'machabed, you clean in front of it, v'amarabetz, you pour water in front of it, v'amarachetz, you wash the idol, v'hasach, you anoint it with oil, v'amalbish, you dress it, v'amano, you put shoes on it. That's over below saseh. It's just a law. You get malchus. Hanoider b'shmo v'makayim b'shmo. You take a neder in the name of what is Zor and you makayim it. Over below saseh. You're over a lot. Hapoyer atzmo in front of Baal Poor. You go to the bathroom in front of Baal Poor. That was the avoda to that avodah zor. Zui avodosa. You're chayv skila. Even though it looks like something that's a bizoyo. It's not something. It's not honorific going to the bathroom in front, but that's the way it was worshipped. Or Azorik Evan Lamarculus. Mercury was the god of the traveler, and they used to put there were a stone, and you put a third stone on top of the two stones. That's how it was worshipped. Zui Avodosa. Again, even though it looks like a bizoyon dika thing. Now, why did the Mishnah say echad oived v'echad mizabeach? What's this? What does that mean? These are all oived. Echad oived kedarka. If you do an avoida for a certain avodah zarah, which is the normal way of worshiping it, then the following applies to any avodah zarah, even if it was not the derech to worship it, which is mizabeach shachting, mekater burning incense, menasech pouring wine, ve'echad mishtachave, afilu aiser shalok kedarka. Even that was not the normal way of worshiping the avodah zarah, that would give you skill. What about throwing blood? That's a void in the base of Midrash. Amar Abaya, zoyrek kind of menasech, pouring wine and zrik, it's the same thing. Because it says bal asich niskeh midam, so nisoch and dam, zrik's dam is compared to the same thing. Now, Menon and Mili, how do you know that these avodos, shechting, incense, all of this, even if it's not kedarka, for that idol, you get skila for it. Torah Rabbanan. It says, Zovech lelohim yacharam, if you shech to an idol, you will be put into cherem. Bilti lashon avado. Ilu nemar zovech yacharam, hayidur bezovech kodshe b'chutz hakosu medaber. I would have thought that it wasn't even dealing with avodah zarah. If you shecht kodshe b'chutz, that's what this pasuk is talking about. But Talmud Lomar lelohim zovech lelohim yachara, which is foreign gods, and that's bezovech l'avodah zarah kosu medaber. Shechting, ein li bezovech. That's shechting. What about mekater menasech minay? Burning incense or pouring wine minayin. Talmud Lomar bilti l'Hashem levado. Rikan avodos kulam l'Hashem hamiyuchad. He designated these avodos to Hashem. The feature says zavicha. But why did the Torah use the word zovech of all of the avodot to describe what's going on to the avodah zarah? To teach lidin bavodas pnim, to say that the avodot that were done in the Beis Hamikdash are all part of this, and those are the actions that are usher to an avodah zarah. Now, the only one, so shechting, burning incense, pouring wine, those are all things done in the Beis Hamikdash. Minay lerabos yishtachavot, the Mishnah said bowing down. Also, that's not one of the avodot that are just in the Beis Hamikdash. But yet, if you're mishtachavad avodah zarah, chayv misa. Talmud Lomar, vayelech vayavod Elohim achirim vayishtachavu lahem. V'samachle, right next to it, it says votzeis as ha'ishahu, o es ha'isha yasher asus nevar razel sharecha, Esa ish or esa isha is called tem avnim v'mesu. Okay. Skila for hashtachava. So onesh shamanu, that's the punishment. Azar minayin. Where's the lav? Hamad lomer kilo tishtachave le'el acher. Yachol sheni marbe megafif menashek v'manil. Hugging, kissing, putting shoes on. Maybe that's also included. Talmud lomer zovech l'loim yacharam. Zvicha bichlal haisa. Zvicha was one of the avodot. Lama yotza. Why was it mentioned distinctly? Lahaki sheleh. To compare, v'lo ma zvicha miyuchedes she'avodas pnim. Zvicha is something that's done in the base of Mikdash, and chayav alav misa, and your chayav misa, let's say shchutei chutz. Av kol shu avodas pnim chayav alav misa. So all of them for avodah zara. Yotzi shtachava lidon ba'atzma. Now bowing down has its own din because it's not an avodas pnim. The yotzi zvicha lidon ala klal kula. Something that isn't done in the base of Mikdash is not considered an avodah, even for avodah zara. So we don't kiss, we don't hug, we don't dress in the base of Mikdash. So that's why those actions for avodah zara is not the actions that will give you skila. Amar Mar. This was all one big baraisa that we just learned, and now we're going to take apart this price. Amar Mar. So the havamina the baraisa had was, I would have thought Zovech Lim Yacharam was referring to shchita of kochim bachutz, not in the base of Mikdash. Zovech kochim bachutz, that's not a capital crime. Chayv korisu. It's koris. Ish asher yaleh ola uzavach ve'al pesachol moed lo yavienu oil moed lasoso so lashav v'nichras ha'ish lehu miyam. It's koris. It's not misa. So because we might have thought if you would have given a warning with Eidim to somebody who's going to shecht outside, maybe Ktala. Maybe it's only Kores if you did it without Asra. But if you had Asra, you'd get killed. Kilo Asra Bei Kores. Kamash Malon, that Makriv B'Kochim B'Chutz is never punished B'Dei Adam by Bezdin, even with Asra. Then the Baraisa said that shechting, zvicha, was specifically mentioned, and we include all of the other avodot. But hishtachava is an exception. Amar Rav Barav Chanan Labaya. Ema, why don't you understand the psukim like this? Yotza hishtachava l'lamid ala klal kulo. Maybe all the avodot have to be compared to hishtachava. And what is ishtachava? Bowing down is showing honor, and not necessarily this geder of the avodot that are done in the base of Mikdash, like zvicha and incense and wine. Maybe kissing and hugging and anything that shows honor would give you the death penalty. Because v'chitema zoveach lamali. So you're going to ask, what do I need the word zovech if I already have ishtachava? Maybe legufei. For a special din in shechting, which is what? Shemachashvin me'avodah lavodah. For example, let's say you shecht an animal, and you have in mind to be makrivit to an avodah zarah. Maybe then you'd be chayiv on that shchita. Where do we see this? The Itmar, and we're going to learn a baraisa, which goes into this issue. We'll continue this tomorrow. So tomorrow, 8 o'clock,